Hello everyone and welcome to my CSU channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Todd Chrisley said they were not convicted by jury of his peers. Reality star Todd Chrisley is stating that he and his wife, Julie Chrisley, were not convicted by a jury of his peers. They were sentenced to a total of 19 years behind bars, with him to serve 12 and Julie to serve 7. The couple has since been pardoned and released, but what does Todd have to say about the conviction? Keep reading for more details. Todd Chrisley, not convicted by jury of his peers. When Todd Chrisley was released from prison after serving just over 2 years, he made it clear that he had done nothing wrong. He appeared at a press conference with his lawyer and his daughter, Savannah Chrisley. Some wondered if he would take any accountability for his crimes. He maintained that he and his wife, Julie Chrisley, had been wrongly convicted. More so, they were not going to apologize for something out of their control. Now he has continued to speak up and out and is sharing who really convicted the duo. Along with Julie and Savannah, Todd appeared in an interview with Juju Chang. She mentioned how a jury of their peers had convicted them, and some feel they did not serve their time. That baffled him as he did not feel that it was an accurate statement. He claimed that he did not see people in similar positions, such as multimillionaires and those in the film industry. Rather, he saw a jury made up of people from a heavily Democratic county. Therefore, they were not Todd's peers or those who had been in his shoes. Upon his release, Todd Chrisley stated that it was somewhat of a witch hunt. Moreover, he believed that he and his family were unfairly targeted. Yet, after he stated that it was not a jury of his peers and challenged Juju Chang, followers were stunned. They could not believe how he was reacting and how he still refused to be humble. Take it down, Todd. Viewers have long followed the Chrisley family, as they have long had their own reality series. They also have had various different ventures, with everything coming to a head in 2022. By January 2023, Julie and Todd Chrisley headed to their respective prisons. They were then pardoned in May 2025, and fans feel that Todd needs to take it down a notch. His attitude left little to be desired, and those who saw his interview with Juju Chang had a lot to say. Some could not understand what a political affiliation had to do with his conviction. If he and his wife had done something wrong, politics should have stayed out of it. Unfortunately, Todd Chrisley does not feel that way, and he has made it very clear. Hopefully, he can see some of what fans have been saying and take it in for the better. For Todd Chrisley, life has been anything but ordinary over the past few years. Once the booming, boisterous star of Chrisley Knows Best, he built his brand on charm, extravagance, and the perfect Southern family image. But the bright lights of reality television dimmed fast when federal prosecutors came after him and wife Julie Chrisley with accusations of bank fraud and tax evasion. In June 2022, a jury found them guilty, and by early 2023, both began serving lengthy prison sentences. Yet Todd, never one to keep quiet, has taken issue not only with the accusations and conviction itself, but with something even more fundamental, the very jury that decided his fate. Recently, Todd has been vocal about what he calls a deep flaw in his trial. He insists he and Julie were not convicted by a jury of their peers. What Todd means by not a jury of their peers. To the average person, the phrase jury of peers brings up images of people just like you, neighbors, fellow citizens, individuals who understand your background and life experience. In legal terms, however, peers doesn't necessarily mean friends or people of the same social standing. It refers to impartial citizens chosen through a process meant to avoid bias. But Todd, a man who always spoke in absolutes, believes his jury didn't represent fairness at all. Instead, he paints a picture of a panel made up of individuals who, in his words, had no understanding of who we are, how we live, or the truth of what was presented. In a prison phone call that later made its way into media coverage, Todd said, "I've always believed in the justice system, but when you're standing there realizing these people don't know you, don't share your values, and maybe even resent your success, it's hard to believe justice was ever possible. Julie and I were not convicted by peers. We were convicted by strangers with an agenda." Part of Todd's frustration may stem from how fame complicates trials. Unlike ordinary citizens, reality TV stars live with their reputations stretched across tabloid covers, gossip blogs, and social media feeds. For years, Todd paraded his wealth and Southern wit on national television. And when his legal troubles began, every headline seemed to twist his persona into a caricature of greed and deception. Could potential jurors have walked into the courtroom already biased against the Chrisleys? Todd thinks so. Half the jury pool probably already had an opinion before they ever heard a word of testimony, he claimed. And when the government paints you as someone you're not, it's almost impossible to claw your way back. It's not an outlandish theory. Legal experts have long debated how high-profile cases affect jury impartiality. When a person's life has played out on television, true neutrality becomes much harder to achieve. Julie's quiet support. While Todd has been the outspoken one, Julie Chrisley has remained more measured. From behind bars, she's communicated mostly through family and attorneys, emphasizing faith and resilience. Still, she reportedly shares Todd's doubts about the jury process. She believes, just as Todd does, that the trial was unfair, a family source shared. Julie feels they were portrayed as villains before the case even began, and that the jury was never going to see beyond that. For a woman who built her image on being the calm, composed matriarch of the Chrisley clan, Julie's frustration carries weight. Fans divided. Todd's declaration has ignited debate among fans. Some see it as yet another attempt to dodge responsibility, while others feel sympathy for a man who believes he was never given a fair chance. One fan wrote on social media, "Todd is right. Everyone already had their minds made up. They saw a flashy rich man and assumed he was guilty. That's not justice." But another fired back, "A jury of peers doesn't mean people who like you. It means citizens who do their duty. If Todd doesn't like the outcome, that doesn't mean the jury was wrong." The polarizing reactions mirror the Chrisleys' public image, beloved by some, despised by others. Legal ramifications. Todd's insistence about the jury has more than emotional value. It's part of the legal argument his attorneys are pursuing in appeals. Their team has raised questions about evidence admitted in court, witness credibility, and, yes, the impartiality of the jury. If they succeed in convincing an appellate court that bias tainted the trial, it could mean a retrial or, at minimum, a revaluation of sentencing. But appeals are long shots and most convictions are upheld. Still, Todd clings to the hope that the system will eventually vindicate him. Life behind bars. Meanwhile, both Todd and Julie continue serving their time. Todd in Florida and Julie in Kentucky. Reports suggest Todd has adjusted by keeping to routines, leaning on faith, and trying to stay involved in his children's lives from afar. His claim about the jury isn't just a legal defense, it's also a coping mechanism, a way to explain how life flipped upside down so quickly. Friends say Todd's mantra these days is simple: this isn't the end of the story. A legacy complicated. Even if Todd eventually wins an appeal, the stain of conviction lingers. The Chrisleys' once flourishing empire, TV shows, endorsements, business ventures, lies in ruins. And yet Todd seems more concerned with his reputation than the financial wreckage. For him, the idea that he was convicted by a group of people who weren't truly his peers undermines the legitimacy of the entire process. Whether he's correct or not, it's clear Todd refuses to accept the narrative painted by prosecutors. Faith, family, and the fight ahead. Todd often ties his belief in injustice back to his deep faith. He's quoted scripture, prayed with fellow inmates, and reminded his children that truth will prevail. To the Chrisleys, fighting the conviction is about more than avoiding prison. It's about restoring honor to their family name. Savannah Chrisley, who has become the loudest advocate for her parents, has echoed her father's sentiment. "If you saw what we saw in court, you'd know it wasn't fair," she told followers. "Mom and Dad deserve a fair trial, and I won't stop fighting until they get it."